Hello and welcome back to the channel. The Premier League season has finished, it is now done, it is history, histoire, historia and other words that mean history. At the start of the year I put forth my Premier League predictions and now it's time to go back and see just how incredibly wrong I was. So for your viewing pleasure and my personal pain, let's have a look back through what I predicted and just how badly wrong it's gone. In 20th and last place, I predicted Huddersfield. They made me look a right idiot. They finished 16th, relatively comfortably safe within the last couple of days of the Premier League season. It's a monumental effort from everyone at Huddersfield. Not the biggest budget in the world, but David Wagner has got that team working so unbelievably hard for him, and he's got the best out of every single one of those players. And to finish above teams that they have finished above, the likes of Southampton, who we'll come on to in a minute. That's a fantastic achievement for a team's first season in the Premier League. Hopefully now they can kick on and make this and stay in the Premier League for a while. Moving on to 19th, and much like Huddersfield, I predicted another one of the promoted teams to go down, that being Brighton and Hove Albion. But alas, they finished above Huddersfield in 15th. That's, again, Chris Hughton has shown that he can manage at this level, and that Newcastle, and particularly Mike Ashley, were very, very silly to get rid of a man of his quality. Signing of Pascal Gross was an absolute masterstroke from Hughton himself. 3 million quid for a man who finished third in assists in the Bundesliga the season previous. Even though they didn't get the best out of their record signing in Jose Izquierdo, they did bring in a new record signing in January, showing how much faith the owners had in the project with Jurgen Locadia, who didn't really have much of a time to make an impact. But Glenn Murray's there. Why? What? I don't understand why Glenn Murray is scoring goals. I don't understand it. In 18th, I predicted Burnley. This is what I had to say.
Burnley, I think time has run out on your Premier League adventure. You're finishing 18th.
Idiot. Absolute idiot. Although if any of you had Burnley finishing 7th, let alone in the top 10, you're a liar and a fraud, and I don't want to talk to you because you're a bad person. But no, this is an amazing achievement for Burnley, despite scoring a ridiculously low amount of goals. Sean Dyche has done a phenomenal job with that group of talent, with essentially the Ireland B team. So fantastic stuff. Fantastic stuff. In 17th, I had Watford, who of course had to settle for mid-table mediocrity as they picked up as many points as they went through managers in the season. They ended with Javi Gracia, but Christ knows he probably won't make it till the summer. But it's a collective. It feels like it's a collective effort of many people at Watford, specifically the three managers they went through this season. I don't know. It's hard to keep track these days, as I'm sure you Watford fans are aware. The emergence of Richarlison was a real highlight for Watford this year. Really rather unexpected, even though he did fall off towards the end of the season. He could bring in quite a bit of cash for you, Watford, should you choose to cash in. In 16th place, I had Swansea City, and oh, what an idiot! I really should have known better. I believe I said they would finish comfortably in mid-table. Foolishness, the absolute foolishness of it all. Yeah, it's been an absolutely appalling, shocking, woeful, abysmal, torrid season for the Welsh side. Relegation, to be fair, with the way they played this season, they deserve to go down. I would have preferred them to go down than Southampton. I feel that Southampton have a lot more to offer the league. But we'll come on to that because I have words to say about certain people. But Swansea, I mean, you re-sign a lad for 20 million quid and he doesn't score you a single goal. You sign a lad who's unfit and then gets injured. What do you expect? I mean, Sam Clucas was alright, but you know, one ginger does not a good team make. In 15th, I had Bournemouth, and yes, there is quite the pattern emerging now. I've got bugger all of these right so far, as Bournemouth ended up finishing in 12th. Jermaine Defoe I thought would contribute a lot more, as did everybody, but he only got like 4 goals this season. Even so, I'm glad I have been proven correct that Jermaine Defoe, there's not an awful lot to him as a player. Maybe that's just a personal opinion, but you know. This is my channel, so shut up. No matter though how much Bournemouth finish in mid-table, it's still a phenomenal achievement for that side considering the size of the club itself. And Eddie Howe will be continuously linked with England jobs and higher position job, like Arsenal and Chelsea and blah 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 for some reason. In 14th place I had Crystal Palace. They finished 11th, so this is probably the closest I've got so far. Although, if you'd said at the start of the season, if I'd done this after the first 3 or 4 games, I would have had 22nd. They would have finished 22nd if they would have invented 2 new places for Crystal Palace, because they started off absolutely atrociously, not scoring a goal for 8 games. A goal in 8 games. That's ludicrous. Any wonder they got shot of De Boer. And brought in Roy Hodgson, which, yes, was baffling considering that everyone had not finished laughing at him for Iceland knocking England out of the Euros, which is still hilarious. Sorry, but it really is. So, but it's proven, what an appointment it's proven to be. He's turned that club around. He's got the best out of certain players. A great job by Roy Hodgson. Should be manager of the season, really, and he should sell Christian Benteke as soon as possible, because that boy was absolutely stealing a living this season. How he can live with himself, I have no idea. As much as everyone talks about Wilfried Zaha being their main man, which he absolutely is, you can't underestimate the contributions of the likes of Milivojevic, who, where did they pull him from? He's got 10 goals this season, I think. A lot of them admittedly are from penalties, but I really like the look of him. He's contributed a lot, and he should take a lot of credit as well, along with Zaha this season, for turning that club's fortunes around. Although he does need to grow a spine in the summer, he does need to do that. 13th, I thought was going to be Stoke. You see what thought done there? It planted a feather and thought a chicken would grow. There you go, there's an old Northern Irish proverb for you. Stoke, what the hell happened to you, Stoke? Look at the squad that you have, and look where you finished. It baffles me, absolutely. I thought Stoke would comfortably finish in mid-table, as they tend to do, but no, Mark Hughes is an absolute curse on any club. Which makes me think maybe it wasn't all the players doing, maybe it's because Mark Hughes is so inept as a manager that he had a certain style that he wanted to play, and that was the way they were going to play, and he would not deviate. But the likes of Kevin Wimmer did not perform. Apparently has been unfit since the start of the season, which is pretty bad when you drop 18 million quid on someone. And Saido Berahino, everyone's favourite punchline, 2 years, and he scores 1 goal for the reserves, and he's getting paid upwards of 50 grand a week. You, sir, should be absolutely ashamed. A man gets paid extortionate amounts of money to not do his job. Although there's a lot of players in that Stoke side that will have no problem finding work, the likes of Xherdan Shaqiri. Jack Butland will probably end up getting a big move, even though he was, well, to be fair, you can only do so much whenever you have that sort of defence in front of you. There's plenty. Even the likes of Choupo-Moting, I don't think will have any trouble finding a new employer. But overall, an appalling season for Stoke, and their fans deserve a lot better than what they got, I feel. In 12th place, I had Newcastle United, who exceeded expectations unbelievably, and finished 10th under the stewardship of Rafa Benitez, who he needs to stay. He needs to stay. Mike Ashley said at the end of the season that he was going to give him whatever funds that he required, although I feel like that's a copy and paste job from last season when he said exactly the same thing. Rafa has done unbelievably well, considering he has to work with the likes of Joselu every day, the man who is as much use as a very useless thing. The likes of Dubravka coming in January, no one knew who the hell he was, and he's done unbelievably well, and Kennedy coming in as well changed things. With the emergence of Mikel Merino, John Joe Shelby, of course, the England squad. I'm recording this on the day the England squad came out, and he's not even on the backup list. But Jake Livermore is. That's hilarious. That's what they can do. If that's what Rafa Benitez can do with the squad that he had, was to finish in 10th. Imagine if he got even 50 million quid to spend in the summer. Wildly outlandish, I know, but you know. No, it's not going to happen, is it? It's not going to happen, and Rafa will be gone halfway through next season, which is really sad. In 11th, I had West Ham United. A foolish decision. Look, they did pull it back and get 13th, but it's not good enough for West Ham, considering the amount of money they spent in the summer and the fact they went to this new stadium, which, my God, there's graveyards with more life than that place. It's ridiculous. Well, it doesn't help when you're about, a whole country's width away from the pitch. The atmosphere does tend to suffer ever so slightly when that is the case. Big marquee signings like Joe Hart and Javier Hernandez did not contribute as much as they should have. Joe Hart especially has been absolutely woeful for the last 2 seasons, and was just really a big name that they brought in just for the crack, I feel. But Marko Arnautovic, who everyone took the piss out of at the start of the season, saying that he was overpriced and overhyped, which he was. But he proved some of that worth towards the back end of the season, and he was West Ham's absolute shining light throughout this entire campaign. But I don't know what West Ham can do. I don't know what they can do. I mean, they could keep throwing money at the problem, but it's not going to work. It's not going to work with the recruitment. I feel it's just going to be more of the same next season. And with although David Moyes is going, which is always a positive for any club, I feel. God damn it, I was so close to getting one right. You may have noticed I've got all these wrong so far. Yes, I'm very bad at this. Yes, I'm fully aware. So Leicester I had down to finish in 10th, bang in mid-table, but they exceeded expectations and finished 9th, which is just about right, I think. I think the fairy tale of Leicester winning the title, as amazing as that was, is it's done. It's the fairy tale book has been put back on the shelf, and the dust is beginning to gather rather quickly. I feel that Claude Puel has got an awful lot of undue flack from Leicester fans and Southampton fans from last year. I feel that he tries to play an attractive style of football, which is apparently what everyone's after these days. And you know, 9th is the level that a club like Leicester should be at current. Even though they did win the league, which was we all know is an absolute once in a lifetime thing, and it was a fantastic story. But this is where I think Leicester are destined to end up for the next couple of seasons. Especially when the likes of Iheanacho didn't fire at all this year, which is a massive surprise to me. Vardy and Mahrez, he will give you effort, as much as I'm not a fan of him on a personal level. Riyad Mahrez just kicking up a fuss constantly. If I was Leicester, I'd let him go in the summer. There's plenty better replacements for the money they would get for him. But yeah, I feel this is where Leicester are going to be for the next few seasons. Really, mid-table, banging mid-table. Now we come on to the one which is going to make me look like even more of an idiot, as clearly I'm capable of doing it on my own, so I don't need anyone's help with it. I thought that West Brom would finish 9th. So if we could just go back to what I had to say before the start of the season, and then we can all just see how wrong I actually was.
I think they're going to overachieve again, and I'm going to go for 9th for West Brom.
Bottom. They finished bottom. I mean, when you look at that squad, there's absolutely no quality in it whatsoever. I mean, Craig Dawson maybe at a push, I guess. Krakowiak really should have been contributing a lot more than he should have. Rondon, he will get a move, but I don't know how. Johnny Evans, for some reason, is rated highly now, even though everyone thought he was a joke a few years ago. I think it's just in that West Brom side, he's the best out of the West Brom side, which is accentuated because they were so bad throughout the season. But, you know, in credit to them, Darren Moore came in at the end of the season for the last 5 or 6 games or so, and my God, he got that team motivated to give it a right good go at the end of the season, and really, to be honest, should get the job, but it'll probably go to someone undeserving who has been sacked beforehand at some mid-table Premier League club and feels like they have a God-given right to come in and take that job, whenever Darren Moore clearly has proven that the players want to play for him and show him what he can do in that role. So I sincerely hope he does get it. And West Brom, going back to their old moniker of boing baggies, I think is appropriate. In 8th place, I did have the Saints, and Jesus Christ, they were a bunch of sinners this year. Yeah, that was awful. That was absolutely awful. Almost as awful as Southampton's season. Mauricio Pellegrino. Yes, you sound like a lad who knows what he's doing, but my Christ, sir, you have absolutely no idea what you're at. And then you replace him with Mark Hughes. Southampton is as if you were wanting to go down. What in the name of Christ are you doing? In fairness, the likes of Mario Lemina, who was always going to look great in a Southampton side, bereft of any sort of ability this season. Not to say that team doesn't have ability, but my God, they've made a very good effort of not showing it. Lemina, he's great, he's brilliant, and Alex McCarthy has really proven that he at least deserves to be in that number in the reckoning for that number 1 jersey in the absence of Fraser Forster. But my God, Southampton, what are you doing? I think the time for Southampton replacing the way that they always used to do, they used to bring in players, like bring them up through the academy, they'd play, they'd make a real impact, and they'd sell them on for a huge profit, and then they'd find someone similar. I feel like that's kind of run out now. You can only do that for so long, and then until you have to start putting your hand in your pocket for some real top tier talent, and Southampton really need to do that. This has been a real wake up call for Southampton this year, and for the changes they need to make at that football club, and not hiring Mark Hughes would be the priority, I think. In 7th place I had Everton, who ended up finishing 1 place below that in 8th. My God, what a disastrous season for Everton, considering they spent nearly 200 million quid, all of which was on number 10s, which you can only play one at a time, so why have you done that? They brought in Gylfi Sigurdsson for 45 million quid, which everyone thought was going to be a very astute piece of business. No, absolutely not. He's been less than useless. Davy Klaassen, who I thought would be the biggest coup that Everton would have brought in last year, barely played, forgot what he looks like. Michael Keane, he really flattered to deceive this year. He was very poor, especially for the amount of money that they paid for him. Wayne Rooney showed that he still has a little bit of class about him, but he's what, like 33 now, I guess, or maybe even older than that. I don't know. I don't really keep in contact with him, to be honest. Getting rid of Ronald Koeman, I think, was necessary. I think his style does not fit that Everton team whatsoever. And then Sam Allardyce comes in, and his style of play also doesn't fit an Everton team whatsoever. But he did manage to right the ship and steer the ship to finish for Everton to finish in to be honest, in a position which is a lot more respectable than they really deserve for the way that they played this year in 8th place. A lot of changes need to be made at that football club, and a lot of their transfer policy needs to be severely looked at. Now this is the one that I remember most from my predictions, because I forgot pretty much all of them except for Manchester United. I had put in 6th, because the majority of people I know are Manchester United fans, because of course they are. Yeah, I thought that United would get distracted by the Champions League and would be so desperate to win that competition that their focus would slip from the Premier League itself, and obviously that's not the case, as they ended up finishing in 2nd. I feel that Mourinho absolutely stifles that Manchester United side, and I don't think that I'm alone in that, and having that opinion. I feel that whenever Mourinho was hired by United, I thought it was very odd that they brought in a defensive-minded coach who was trying to bring in attacking players, and he wouldn't really know what to do with them, and that seems to be the case. And then bringing in Alexis Sanchez in January. I said on our January transfer video along with Michael that Henrik Mkhitaryan would do better out of that deal. And admittedly, Mkhitaryan hasn't really set the world alight, but my God, he's done a lot more than Alexis Sanchez. By that I mean he's actually kicked a ball successfully. I feel that the bringing in Sanchez really disrupted the development of Martial and Rashford. I feel that they deserve to play a lot more than Alexis Sanchez did, especially on his performances this year. Not playing Paul Pogba in his natural position, I feel. David De Gea, who's if it wasn't for David De Gea, Manchester United would have finished in 6th and further down the table. The man, he's the best goalkeeper in the world at present, and possibly even better than a fit Manuel Neuer, which is why they need to keep hold of it. Keeping hold of David De Gea is more of a priority to them than signing Griezmann. My God, sound the bloody alarm, ring the bloody bell. I got one right. I bloody got one right. It only took me to this point of the video to get one right. Chelsea in 5th. I called it. I am a genius and a maverick. Write it down. I am a footballing god. I know things. I absolutely do. What the hell happened to Chelsea this year? I thought they would finish 5th at the start of the season, because at the time of recording that video they didn't have a bloody squad big enough. They didn't have a squad, really. They had about 18 registered players. But Jesus Christ, Antonio Conte, if he didn't want to be there so bad, he could have just left, mate. With the likes of Alvaro Morata underperforming severely, with only getting, I think, 15 goals in all competitions, I think. Maybe that's just in the league. Either way, it's vastly under what he is capable of and what he should be achieving. Eden Hazard, he's always the light of that Chelsea side, but the light dimmed for me ever so slightly. The dimmer was turned down ever so slightly on Eden Hazard. The likes of Gary Cahill, he was not up to standard this year. Bakayoko, he's as useful as a Hozzaloo. No, that's insulting, actually. He's a lot more useful than that, EJ. It's hard to say what went wrong with Chelsea and what they need to do to fix it in the summer. I do feel, though, that Conte will go because he just generally doesn't like... He's not digging the atmosphere at Stamford Bridge at boardroom level, and he'll be out the door. And then they can rebuild for next season with someone who kind of wants to be at the club. Almost on the success of my last prediction, I almost get another one right with Tottenham. I had in fourth when they finished third. Tottenham, to be honest, they were always going to be there or thereabouts, I feel, with the talent. I think they have, apart from Manchester City, they have the best overall squad in the league in regards to each player per position. They have at least 2 players in every position that are outstanding. Yeah, I think the move to Wembley, this whole Wembley hoodoo thing at the start of the season, I think that's a little bollocks. I just think the team, they just don't think they were playing well enough at the start of the year. When they didn't have Harry Kane firing, that showed for Tottenham. Not that they're a one-man team, because they're absolutely not. But obviously, you take Harry Kane out of any side, and they'll struggle a lot more than they would normally. Tottenham will absolutely strengthen in the summer. They'll have to spend the money. I think it's now or never for that Tottenham side, as Pochettino himself said in a roundabout sort of way, that now is the time for them to start spending, for Daniel Levy to start spending the money on the players, start spending the money on the wages, and to become a top side, and not just a side that struggles or that competes for Champions League every year. They need to become a side that will try and fight for the title, as they really should be. Into the top 3 now, and I did have Arsene Wenger's Arsenal to finish in the top 3. Finished 3 places below that in 6th. A very odd season for Arsenal. Typical. They fell off, and they of course they shot themselves in the foot on more than one occasion against the so-called lesser sides. And the Europa League run probably didn't help, although I feel that the Europa League gets a bad rap, and I feel it's a fine competition, and it's a European trophy, so obviously you should go out and try and win it. Plus now you get into the Champions League next year, which Arsenal fans and Arsenal management, the boardroom, and Arsene Wenger, I feel, knew that was probably their best way to get into the Champions League next season, because as they did last year, they didn't finish in the top 4. I felt that they really should have pushed for the Europa League to ensure that was a sort of safety net, because they knew they were going to get in again this year. And they didn't, unfortunately. Finished in the semi-finals. Alexander Lacazette for 50 million showed intent at the start of the year, and then Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, of course, coming in, breaking their own transfer record in the January transfer window to bring him in, and Jesus Christ, he hit the ground running, and yeah, he's unbelievable. I think the quickest Arsenal player to 10 goals, maybe ever. I think it only arrived in January. I think he got 13 goals in all. I don't know for sure, but he got a load. He got a ridiculous amount, and I think him and Lacazette started to gel at the end of the season. If they can keep that going next season, they have a real chance. Especially Arsenal now do have to rebuild, with Wenger obviously leaving, and then a lot of some of the lads' contracts running out, so they need to freshen that squad up, which is arguably they've had to do for a while anyway. So now is a good chance to do that. Into the top 2, I had Liverpool sitting in 2nd. The Champions League finalists. Wow, the football that they play is on the counter-attack is absolutely fantastic, and perhaps 4th is underwhelming for how well Liverpool have played this season, especially getting into a Champions League final in the form of Mohamed Salah. Of course, the man is an absolute beast, and I said it at the start of the season. You can go back and check it. In fact, here is the proof that I said that Mohamed Salah would be a game changer for Liverpool this year.
I can't understate how big of a statement Mohamed Salah will be for that side.
But I, along with everyone else, had no idea just how much of an impact this man would make. Dear sweet Lord. Yeah, he's finished record goal scorer for a 38 game season in the Premier League with 32 goals. That's bonkers, absolutely bonkers. That's ahead of Luis Suarez, ahead of Alan Shearer. What else can you say? And it's gotten to a Champions League final. They're of course not just a one-man team. The likes of Bobby Firmino, the man with the whitest teeth in all of football, and Sadio Mane as well contributing, along with Jordan Henderson really coming to the fore this year. James Milner showing his worth. Trent Alexander-Arnold really kind of making a name for himself this year. They have the likes of Naby Keita coming in next season, who is an absolute powerhouse. He will transform that midfield even more for Liverpool, which is a dangerous prospect for any side. And I fancy Liverpool to finish, top 2 next year. I feel that they're going to finish second next year again as well. And of course, top of the table. I got this one right. Yay! But there was no point in counting it really, because we all knew it was going to happen. Manchester City finishing top of the league, but no one knew to what extent Manchester City would absolutely wreck the Premier League this year. 100 points. It's boggling. It's absolutely mind-boggling just how well Pep Guardiola has got this City team playing, and the prospect of them recruiting in the summer to add to that squad is bloody frightening, because who wouldn't want to come to that side now and play under Pep Guardiola and play that sort of attacking style? Wow. What else can you say? It's unbelievable, and they absolutely deserve to win the league by by 19 points, an absolute country mile. They've won that. They of course went unbeaten for the first, I think, 18 games, 18 wins in a row, was it? I think at the start of the season, until Liverpool ended that run. Fair play to you, Manchester City. You deserve all of the accolades that you've been afforded this year by everyone, and I hope, to be honest, I really hope it continues next year, because I love watching good football, and Manchester City play exceptional football. So that is it. That is my review of my predictions for last year. I got 2 right. That's utterly appalling. But that's the joy of predictions. You never know, because football is just so ridiculously mental and stupid and bonkers. You never know what's going to happen. Let me know how you got on with your own personal predictions in the comment section below, and feel free to tell me what an idiot I am and how little I know about football. In the meantime, do hit that like button, do hit that subscribe button, and hit that little bell icon so you're notified of whenever we make new videos, as we do fairly regularly, I'd say, depending on who you ask. But thank you again so much for watching, and why not stick around and watch the rest of our content. But until then, until the next time, we will see you in the next one.